Hi everybody, welcome back. It's been a long time since we've actually had a live meeting for Chippy. Really excited to be doing this again after a couple of years. Very happy to have a new sponsor with us with Foxtrot hosting this meeting. We all give Brittany and company a big hand for putting all this together and putting on a nice spread for us today. They provided the space, the food, the drinks, it's all on them tonight. So thank you Foxtrot and Brittany for coordinating. Also wanted to mention the rest of our sponsors. We are sponsored by Spot Hero, JFrog, Brainfreeze, Zorro, and as well as Foxtrot. If you haven't been to a meeting in a while, or this is your first one, Chippy is a Python-focused community that was started in 2003. We have a couple different initiatives going these days. One's the Buddy Mentorship Program. You can find that on chippymentor.org. Always looking for people to mentor, or if you want to be mentored on a specific subject, it's a good way to try to line up with some other people. We have an AlgoSig that's going, and then a job board on chippy.org at /job board. We have a couple positions open on there. They're from current sponsors. There's a couple from Foxtrot on there, as well as positions from Spot Hero at this time. We've had a lot of positions from Zorro in the past listed as well. I imagine we'll have some of those again in the future. Python news. Python 3.11 is just around the corner. Be on the lookout for that. Also, reading through the release notes, there's a emergency, kind of like a fast patch to 3.10. I think it was .2 to address some memory leaks with Python. And then PyCon is coming up this April in Salt Lake City, so get your tickets. Next event that we are holding is the AlgoSig. That'll be Thursday, March 3rd of 2022. And then the next main meeting will be Thursday, March 10th, basically a month from now. You can find us, we have a Slack at joinchippy, slack.herokuapp.com, and then we're on Twitter at Chicago Python, and you can find our website at chippy.org. And tonight's speaker is going to be Josh Martin over here. He's got a Nerf blaster turret that he's going to show us how he kind of hacked together with Python. So thank you everyone for coming, and I'm going to turn over the event to Josh.
Hello. So this is a Nerf gun turret powered by Python. I'm Josh. I'm a software consultant at ThoughtWorks here in Chicago. I also do React Native and Django consulting part-time outside of work. And I have a strong interest in embedded systems and hardware. Previously, last year, I gave a talk here at Chippy about my graduation cap, where
You'll get to take off your mask.
okay. Yeah, so I gave a talk last year about my graduation cap where people could Venmo me money, and then I would scrape their Venmo message, display their Venmo username and then their message on my graduation cap, and that supported emojis and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I've done previously here. Recently joined a co-working space. It's called M-Hub. It gives me access to a lot of cool equipment, such as laser cutters, 3D printers, pick and place machines, injection molding, and all the cool people. There we go. I've never used most of this equipment before, but I'd like to. Also, have you seen Squid Games? Probably not at this point. The trend's dead. No one's really talking about it. In the most likely case, you're not haven't heard of Squid Games before. It's 456 players who are all deep in financial debt, play a series of children's games for a chance to win $38 million. The first game they play is red light, green light. I'm going to play this video. Hopefully my sound's on loud enough and you can hear how to play.
You'll be playing red light, green light. You are allowed to move forward when it shouts out green light. Stop when it shouts red light. If your movement is detected afterward, you will be eliminated.
Red light, green light. The thing we did as kids in the playground?
Let me repeat the rules.
think that's what she said. Red light, green lights. This is a joke.
Forward with it shall not green light. Stop
Well
with
then,
it shall
then
red
on the first
light.
one there.
If your movement is detected afterwards, you will be
Million
eliminated.
one. Do you? God damn it. You're on.
Those players who cross the finish line without being eliminated within the 5-minute playtime will pass this round. With that, let the game begin. Green light. Red light. Player 324 eliminated.
Tell me that's got caught.
So yeah, so what's not shown in that video is in the walls they have these turrets that track people and then shoot them down. So I think it would be cool to be able to play red, white, green light in real life. But a non-deadly version, I can't kill people, honestly. Yeah. I've seen someone use openCV to get a laser to target their eyes and blind themselves.
I'm seeing on one of these. Oh, fuck!
And also, I've seen someone use drone parts to control a Nerf gun remotely.
Things are going on. Thumbs up for good video. Oh, left works, right works. Up, down. Files are working.
So if I take the concepts from the first video plus the second video and add a little code and hardware, I could have red, white, green light, Squid Games edition, and real life. Cool. So let's get started. We need a gun. Luckily, Target has this one for $50. It's fully motorized. It only costs $50 and it's a great place to start. It has these flywheels that and a hopper with a belt drive. And also has a mod video where you shows how to disassemble and improve the gun, so that makes it easy for me to take it apart. So let's get started. Let's get into chopping into this thing. As you can see, this is the gun in half with the hopper drive, the flywheels and the hopper. But we need to first what we need to do is figure out how much voltage and current these motors take to spin up. We can use a bench power supply for that. What is a bench power supply? That is a good question. Is a power supply you can adjust the voltage and current on the fly and see how much power is drawn from a device. So after plugging in these motors to the bench power supply, I found out that the flywheel takes about 3.3 to 5 volts at 1 amp, and the hopper takes about 5 volts at 1.5 amps. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay, I don't either. But you can learn more about voltage, current, and resistance from the SparkFun article. So great, since let's move to wall power, since we know how much voltage and amperage each motor takes. Wall power will make this more portable, as you can see here with this gun. So this is the setup I'm going to do. I'm going to take two 5 volt 2 amps power supplies and take these adapters and plug them into the motors. But I know we have a problem.
All they do is turn like this, on and off repeatedly, not turn as much as they want them to.
Yeah, so the flywheels won't stay, keep turning.
One.
So why is it not working? I asked around my co-working space, which is at Hub, and someone suggested maybe I'm using too low quality of power supply, like power bricks, and they're not actually delivering the right voltage and amperage. So I went on Adafruit, and I found these ones that were UL listed, and they also have a barrel connector on them, so it'll reduce this, make this less complicated to just using these power supplies. But also when I was looking at this listing, I noticed that there was this video here, which I learned the difference between switching power and linear power when I previously thought there was only one type of DC power, and that was DC power. So I'm going to explain to you the difference so you don't have to watch that video. So the difference between switching versus linear power supplies is that switching power it works by continuously shutting on and off, and which causes to less energy waste and leads to a smaller device overall. And yeah, but as a fault, it can cause noise and not handle such a big load. It's most common for the bricks that you use for small devices, like these square bricks. And then there's linear power supplies, which are bigger. They're always on, so they're always wasting energy. They're older technology, but they can handle like bigger current draws overall. So when I look at this listing now, I understand that this is a switching power supply, and it looks a lot like the ones I've used previously. So let's hedge our bets. It may not be the quality of the power that's being delivered, but the type of power that's being delivered to the device. So we can use this adjustable power supply that I think is a linear one. I'm not fully sure, but it seems to. And the results are in. When I use this switching power supply, I still get the problem where it is just turning on and off. But when I use this one,
as you can see, it's running 14.
And as an added bonus,
And variable power supply so it goes up and down.
all right, so since we know how much power it takes and the current it takes, we have a way to plug them in. I don't want to be over there just like running back and forth and unplugging these when I want to shoot people. So we got to find a way to shoot these remotely. We can use relays for that. But what is a relay? A relay is an electronically operated circuit with a number of contacts in multiple contact points, making connections, breaking connections, and combination, therefore, whatever that means. That's from Wikipedia. But basically, it's like a light switch that has more than two states. While when you turn the relay off, it can be turning another device on. Here's the most common diagram for a relay. You have a power source coming in on the left, and on the right-hand side, you're having a device waiting to be powered. The normal state is like the coil that you see there is receiving 5 volts. So that repels I don't know what that's called, but it repels it and keeps the circuit open. And when you pull it to ground, it closes the circuit and your device receives power. Cool, so here's the wiring diagram for a Raspberry Pi. You have a power source that goes into your relays, and then you have the device that you want to be powered, which is the LEDs. On the other side, you have power from the Raspberry Pi going to the relays, the power the relays, and a select wire that will bring it either from ground or 5 volts connected. So to control relays in Raspberry Pi, here's the following setup. You import Raspberry Pi RPI GPIO, and I've made it more readable by setting on to be low and off to be high. And then the most important thing is you set your pin. In this diagram, it's using pin 37. You can't probably, where's my mouse? You can't probably see it, but this is pin 37. And this is the pin it's using there. And you set up your board, and then I want to default it to off because I don't want to randomly start shooting people. And then when you want to turn it on, you just set it to low. Cool. And the most important thing is you don't want to cause like memory errors, so you want to do GPIO.cleanup when you're done messing with your GPIO pins. Or what I do is if you have a class where you're doing all your operations, just do it in the dunder method, the delete dunder method, and then when it goes out of memory, it'll clean it up for you. So great, we can control these motors remotely. It's time to write some firmware. So first thing is programming the flywheels. You have the pin that you're using for the relay. That is your flywheel. Set up function to let whatever consumes your flywheel, if it's set up or not. And then this most importantly is the is on function, because mechanically these have like you can't press the trigger if the flywheel is not spinning yet. So if you squeeze down the flywheel, that is loud. You can, if you squeeze down the flywheel, you can shoot it. But I'm not going to shoot it here right now. And then maybe a ball just got out. There's an access door in case you get a ball jam, which I probably had to put a screwdriver in. And then the setup function is similar to what you saw in the relay slides. And programming the hopper is the same. The most important thing is you take an instance of the flywheel. So that way you can check to see if the flywheel is on, so that way you don't jam the gun. So putting it together, I just have the pin for the flywheel, the pin for the hopper, setting them up the board, and I have this flag just in case I'm debugging, I'm triggering it on and off multiple times, or I'm coming on, so that way I don't get errors like multiple times cleaning up the GPIO over and over again. So this is the on function for the gun. The most important thing is just sweep for 3 seconds, because you want the flywheels to get to full speed, so it can shoot the ball and not just shoot it into the ground. You want it to hurt, right? So, and then I just have these. I use R parse just to. So I was lazy and didn't want to break into multiple files, and then so just for testing on the Raspberry Pi that I'm using. It's great we have some firmware, but if I don't have an IP address, or I want to debug network issues, what am I going to do? I don't know where this gun is. I don't know how to connect to it. I can display this data on an LCD screen. But there's problems when you start using an LCD screen. The text is hard to read. There's too many wires, and it's immobile because how many wires you have. But I found these on Amazon. These have a potentiometer that allows you to adjust the brightness of the screen so that you can make the text more readable. It also reduces the wires down to only two data wires and power and ground instead of 6 data wires. So that way I can fit it into my project easier and still have access for other devices. So now we need a place to put all these electronics that I have. So we gotta cut it into so I cut out the battery pack and where the batteries go, and that's now where all the electronics go. I cut an access door. I cut into the battery pack wall and put the LCD screen there, and display some data. But oh no, SSH doesn't always work either. There's other ways to connect. So I saw this cable on Adafruit. You can buy it on Adafruit. There's a tutorial right there you can use. It allows you to connect over serial. You can find the device and then use screen to log in to your device. And then you'll be at a blank screen and you push enter and it'll give you like a Raspberry Pi login. So what this allows me to do is have Wi-Fi configuration on my device. I mean, the Wi-Fi configuration without having to go over the network. That way I can guarantee I can configure the gun up correctly to find its IP address. And then also something you don't get with SSH is like the setup and shutdown text. which sometimes can be really important. And also, if you've ever had trouble exiting Vim, like many of us have on Stack Overflow, you would also want to know how to exit this once you get into it. So here's the command to exit screen once you get into it, because if you don't do it right, it stays busy and you can't reconnect. So, however, SSH is still preferred, so I can be anywhere and I don't have to be right next to the gun and stuff like that. Next thing is setting up tracking faces. So like in Squid games, when the doll is doing this, it's tracking people and trying to figure out if they're moving, it's going to shoot them. Luckily, there's like anything in Python, there's a package that does most of the work for you. That's why I love Python. There's a face recognition package that can recognize multiple people, and yeah, and it works pretty good, as you can see here. Or and so. Yeah, and then I found another tutorial that shows how to do like motion tracking and streaming over the streaming to a web page. What Raspberry Pi is.
So I got this streaming to a web page now.
As you can see. But after doing all this video processing, my Raspberry Pi is running really hot. Literally, like I'm touching it and it's burning my fingers. So what I'm going to do is move the video processing and AI to my laptop reluctantly, but that also allows me to work up a smaller Raspberry Pi and save space. And I'll just talk to the Raspberry Pi via a REST API, simple REST API. You just have an on and off function. And then I'm going to set a cron job on the Raspberry Pi on reboot, and then path to my Python script and run it in the background, so that way it just comes on when the Raspberry Pi comes on. And as a result, this is it all together. So what's next? Probably learn CAD. I'm pretty scared, honestly. I'm not a mechanical engineer at all, but I need to drive these servos I have. These like 25-gram servos, kilogram servos. So I gotta make a casing for this and figure out how to mount this and stuff like that. Also, I haven't spent that much time on the AI. I have basic stuff I've got from tutorials, but be getting more in depth with that and slicing the and then mixing the embedded stuff that I've already done with the AI that I have to create would be the next step, and making it all work into a Django interface. Django. I know Foxtrot is looking for Django engineers, so. And then expand the Django servers so people can log in and create users, sign up for games, and scan their faces, so that the gun will recognize who they are and yell their name out when they're out. So that'd be cool. Or just give up. Honestly, the trend's dead. No one really cares about Squid games. So, but who knows? So that's my talk. Thank you guys for listening. That's my Twitter. I post sometimes about this gun on TikTok, and that's my email if you want to contact me. So, thank you. Yeah. What's your question?
So I know you're talking about putting more like AI and stuff in there. Do you feel like you need to lead your targets right now? Like, is latency an issue?
I think I'm planning just to be on the same network, so I don't think there would be huge latency because I'm not going off the server and coming back and just all right here. Hopefully, I don't know yet. I need to do the cat stuff, and that's scary. So. Yeah.
You watch a live demo?
Yeah. You want to see it? All right.
Clear an area that they had some power to it.
Oh, you can turn it up? It goes up to 24 volts. You know, so. All right.
Is it loaded?
There's my face. Look at it, and then. Is it going to go? Live demos. Is it what's happening?
Oh, God. That's how live demos go.
Oh no. Oh no. Did I put the right IP address? Come on, me SSH into it. Good nerd. This is why I have redundancies. Okay, this is not gonna be whatever. That's just on. What's your question?
How are you streaming the video feed to the interface?
This comes off my camera. I honestly follow the tutorial. You know,
Is it Python or?
Yeah, it's a Django server. On mirror display. Yeah, it's a Django server. I have a view, which is my video feed.
Oh, it's like an iframe.
Yeah. Yes.
Does the openCV affect bodies or spaces? Because aiming at someone's face seems dangerous.
You can probably put an offset.
Okay.
You know? But if you aim at the face, no matter the distance, you're gonna hit them or above their head. You know, if you aim lower, gravity can act on it more, and you're not gonna hit them. Or you gotta turn the gun on. You know. So, yeah, what's your question?
So is it like aiming horizontally a future state, or right now you do vertically with the speed, or is it
just haven't got there yet. I just have to, you know, the main thing is just getting something to hold it. Because if I knock it, it's gonna, you know, it might hit something I don't want it to. So, yeah.
Can you talk more about the makerspace that you're?
Yeah. So it's very great. I really appreciate it. I've met a lot of cool people that it's a makerspace that's focused on helping you create a business from whatever you're interested in. There's one guy that does like skateboards and stuff like that, you know, like Amati boost boards and things like that. And there's a lot of mechanical engineers, and they'll help you go from like idea to full prototype. The guy next to me makes these like ergonomic chairs and in the millions with his sales, but it's having supply chain issues in China right now. So
we had a Chipy meeting at Hub a few years ago. Happy to host. We're happy to host.
Yeah. Any more questions?
How many guns did you run before you got into work?
I was lucky. I only had this is the first gun I used. I bought another gun on eBay, but this one I saw at Target like on State Street, and I was like, that's exactly what I need. So I just started with that. It also helps to have a reference gun, so I bought a second one. You know, so yeah.
Is there anything you would have done differently if you do it second time?
I think for my I can only look forward. You know, like the last time I did the graduation cap, I had a lot of mistakes, and I did that in about a week. I learned from that. I took those lessons to here. It's still a learning process. I wish I just had more time to work on it, or just help. You know, honestly, someone else to help me get this along. It's just not me.
Okay, so here at SSH into it, like does Raspberry Pi you plug in the network into PHCPs, or how does that work?
Well,
how does the Raspberry Pi get on the network such that you can SSH?
Yeah, so I just use that. Where's my? I use that cable that I was talking about.
Serial.
Yes.
Oh, it's serial?
So, hold on, sorry. Where is it? I use this cable to get it set up, but I can't really use my editor, and it's like half a quarter of the window if I'm communicating over serial. So that's why SSH would be preferred. So yeah, I use this to get the Wi-Fi configured and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you.